So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. First thing first, because it is February and it is Black History Month, I have a video that I want to play for you guys about George Washington Carver. Have you guys ever heard of George Washington Carver? Not George Washington, the first president of the United States, but a different guy. All right, so I'm going to present my screen.
Computer. Right there.
Some refer to him as the Peanut Man, the Plant Doctor, or the Farmer's Friend. Throughout his life, George Washington Carver made many important scientific and educational contributions to the world. Let's travel back in time, all the way to the 1800s.
Yeah, Ken.
Learn about the Plant Doctor,
Yeah.
George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was born in 1864 on a farm in Missouri. The farm was owned by a man named Moses Carver, who used the labor of enslaved people to farm his land. Both of George's parents were enslaved, so his exact birth date isn't known. When George was just a tiny baby, something wild happened. George, one of his sisters, and Mom were all kidnapped by Confederate raiders and taken to Kentucky. George was eventually found, and he returned to the Carver farm, where he and his older brother James were raised by Moses Carver and his wife Susan. As a young boy, George didn't work in the fields like other boys his age. Instead, he was taught how to work in the kitchen garden, how to tend to plants, and how to make herbal medicines. George loved doing this work, and he was really good at it too. He began to experiment with chemicals that help plants grow. Things like natural pesticides, fungicides, and soil conditioners. George soon started creating his own special mixtures and combinations that helped him grow new plants. And the word spread to other local farmers, who started calling George the Plant Doctor because he knew exactly what
No, I didn't say no, man. I didn't say the word.
So at a young age, because of his new and interesting ideas. At age 11, George left the farm to attend an all-black school in a town called Neosho. And when he was about 13 years old, George moved to Kansas to attend high school. He graduated when he was 16 and made plans to attend college. George was an excellent student and earned a full scholarship to Highland Presbyterian College in Kansas. Unfortunately, he was turned away the first day because he was black. Even though he was very discouraged, he never gave up. In 1888, 24-year-old George enrolled as the first black student at Simpson College in Iowa. George first studied art and piano before switching to botany, which is the study of plants.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
We are watching a video about George Washington Carver. You ready to jump in?
Ready?
Okay.
To Iowa State Agricultural College, now known as Iowa State University, where he earned a bachelor's and master's degree. George decided to stay and teach at Iowa State. While teaching there, Booker T. Washington, a well-known leader in the black community, invited George to teach agriculture at the Tuskegee Institute. The Tuskegee Institute was one of the first black colleges in America. George accepted the job and began teaching agriculture. He taught there for 47 years, developing the agricultural department into a strong research center that would be modeled by many other universities throughout the country. George's main goal was to teach generations of black students new farming techniques like crop rotation so they could be self-sufficient and thrive as a community. Cotton was one of the main crops grown in the South, but growing cotton in the same place year after year wasn't good for the soil, so the cotton wouldn't grow as well. George discovered that if farmers grew cotton one year and the next year grew something else like sweet potatoes or soybeans, not only would the soil be healthier, but they'd have more crops to sell. Another major problem for cotton growers was a pest called the boll weevil, which would eat the cotton crop. George discovered that boll weevils didn't like peanuts, so he told farmers to plant them instead. But farmers were worried that they wouldn't be able to make much money from a peanut crop. So George solved that problem by coming up with hundreds of new things that could be made from peanuts. Things like cooking oil, clothing dyes, plastics, and even fuel for cars. That's why he's sometimes called the Peanut Man. Through crop rotation and innovation, George helped farmers make crops profitable. That gave the Southern farmers new hope, and they became successful using Carver's methods. Soon, throughout the South, Carver became known as the farmer's friend. Eventually, the work he did became known throughout the world. George Washington Carver died on January 5th, 1903. His life savings of $60,000 was used to create the George Washington Carver Institute for Agriculture at Tuskegee. There is a monument dedicated to Carver in Diamond, Missouri. There are many other schools, scholarships, and honors named after him as well. And January 5th is known as George Washington Carver Recognition Day. Now that our brains are full of fun facts, let's review what we've learned. True or false? George Washington Carver's exact birth date is unknown.
All right, guys, let's play along with true or false. So, Anna and Eva, you guys were here for the beginning of the video. Do you remember true or false? George Washington Carver's exact birth date is unknown. What do you think?
Yeah.
True or false?
What? It's true.
True, that's right. George Washington Carver's exact birth date was unknown because he was born to enslaved parents, so they didn't have birth records. Let's keep watching.
True.
We got it right. Good job, guys.
What is one of George's nicknames?
Can you guys remember some of the nicknames that George Washington Carver was given? What did people call George Washington Carver? Something about peanuts, remember? Does anybody remember the one about peanuts?
Yes.
Yes.
The peanut, what? The Peanut Man was one of his nicknames. Yeah, because
Peanut Man.
He told people that they needed to use peanuts in their crop rotations and came up with all kinds of things to make out of peanuts. What about the farmer's blank? Do you guys remember?
Farmer's Man.
The farmer's blank.
The farmer's...
I'll give you guys a hint. He helped farmers. Farmers liked him. How about the farmer's friend?
Farmer's friend.
The farmer's friend was another one of his names.
Farmer's friend.
That's right. Good job, guys. Let's keep watching and see if we missed one.
Did you remember Peanut Man?
We remembered Peanut Man.
Plant Doctor?
We did not remember Plant Doctor. Okay. So he was called Peanut Man. He was called the Plant Doctor.
Plant Doctor.
And the Farmer's Friend.
Where's
George
French?
Washington Carver
Where's
Recognition
French?
Day happens during which month?
You guys remember what day George Washington Carver Recognition Day is in? What month of the year?
January.
That's right. It was January. Let's see if we got it right.
January.
January 5th is George Washington Carver Recognition Day. All right, we've got another true or false question.
One of George's main goals was to help Black farmers be self-sufficient and succeed. True.
Oh, they didn't give us time to
Great
answer that one.
job, innovators. Though he
True.
was faced with lots of challenges,
Mm.
George Washington Carver persisted and went on to become one of the most prominent names in American history. He used his skills to help other people and has inspired generations. Let's be like George and never give up.
Hope you had
All right, so I think that was a pretty cool video about George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was probably, in American history, one of the most famous Black farmers for all of his work advancing agricultural science. Very important. So we actually still use the same ideas of crop rotation on our farm. So he was really important in developing those ideas and telling people about them. So thanks, George Washington Carver, for teaching us about crop rotations, because it's very, very important. You can't grow the same thing in the same soil all the time. It doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so let's jump back into our All Things Farm PowerPoint here. Today's agenda, if you guys got the reminder text, today's topic is going to be laying hens. So hens that lay eggs is the topic today. Our class rules, we're to be respectful of one another. We're going to speak one person at a time. We're going to keep ourselves on mute if we're not speaking, or if we're in a noisy place especially. We're going to keep our video on even if we're not on the screen so we can see each other. Okay, so this week's announcements. At the farm, we have started our very first seeds for the year. So we have little baby plants happening. Our new tractor that we're getting for the farm should be getting here in the next few weeks, and we'll be able to start working out in the field with it. So that's exciting. We are getting a delivery of special potting soil on Thursday that we ordered all the way from, I think it was either North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember. So we're getting very special soil to start our seeds in tomorrow. And our first plantings in the field will be happening soon in early March. So it's about to be go time at the farm. It's time to start planting things and getting ready for season. Have you guys noticed any signs of spring this week?
Yes.
What sign of spring did you notice, Michael?
I noticed the trees will have buds.
Oh, that's a really good one. The trees have lots of buds. And that means what is going to come out of them soon?
Leaves.
That's right. Leaves are going to come out of the trees soon. That's a really good one, Michael. Thank you. What about Miss Ann or Eva? Have you guys noticed a sign of spring lately?
Uh-huh.
What is one sign of spring that you've noticed?
The flowers on the tree.
You've seen flowers?
Yes. On the tree.
Oh, okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, signs of springs are happening. At my house, my daffodils are just starting to poke leaves out of the ground. They're not flowering yet, but they're just starting to wake up, and they'll be flowering soon. All right, let's rock on. Our check-in question today is a question that we've had before, so it's a memory test, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The question is, how many eggs does a hen lay each year? Up to 250 eggs a year.
258 to 250 eggs.
That's right.
50
So
eggs.
250 eggs a year. And that means the chicken will almost lay 1 egg per day, is what people usually say.
Yep.
So where do chickens come from? Where did we get chickens? Chickens were domesticated about 5,400 years ago in Southeast Asia. And, you know, people brought them all over Europe and Asia and Africa. And then they were brought to the Americas, so North America and South America, about 500 years ago. Now, most American chickens are raised in large factory-like buildings. So most of the chickens that we eat and most of the chickens that we get eggs from don't ever go outside. They're just in buildings all the time. Can you guys help me think of some ways that we can use chickens? Why do people keep chickens? Chickens give us
eggs.
That's right. And how about another one? Chickens give us
Nuggets.
what do we like to eat? Oh, like chicken nuggets. That's right. So chickens
nuggets.
give us meat that we eat.
Meat.
And let's think, what else? That might be all I have. They give us meat and eggs. Also, I forgot about this one. They give us their poop, which is an excellent fertilizer that we can use.
Fertilizer.
Their poop can be used as fertilizer.
Manner?
And some of the chicken byproducts, like the bones and the parts of the chicken that people don't like to eat, it gets turned into dog food. So these are all reasons we keep chickens in America. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about chickens that give us eggs. So, how do eggs get to the grocery store in the first place? Laying hens, which is a name for the type of hen that lays eggs. Laying hens live in large buildings on egg farms. They live in cages for their whole life most of the time. Food and water are given inside those cages by automatic feeders. And when a hen lays an egg, it rolls out underneath her and goes onto a conveyor belt and gets taken away. Eggs are washed, packed, and then put on a truck and distributed to a store near you. And I have a video here for us to watch. We're going to take a little virtual tour of an egg farm. You guys ready?
Seaman's Farms is a poultry egg farm located in Rosemont, Manitoba. We have 24,000 laying hens and 13,000 pullets, which are a term for...
Okay, so 24,000 chickens that lay eggs and 13,000 chickens that are a little too young to lay eggs, but they will lay eggs soon.
Birds.
A lot of chickens.
Chick until they lay their first egg.
Hey guys, my name is Harley Seamans. I'm one of the owners here at Seamans Farms. Come on inside. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what we do here on a daily basis. Let's go. When we come inside our barn, the first thing we want to do is change our shoes. We want to make sure that we're not bringing anything from outside into our barn to harm our hens. This is called biosecurity practices. The next step is we want to make sure that our clothes are good for going inside the barn. So what we do is we issue out these biosecurity suits that I'm going to go put on to make sure that we're good to go inside of our barn. We're now all suited up, ready to go into the biosecure area. As you can see, this yellow sign here says biosecurity in effect. We meet all the guidelines. We can now enter the farm. Come on. The first thing that you guys are seeing here, this is our packing room. This is where we're going to pack all of the eggs. So what's going to happen is we're going to have all the eggs from all the conveyors come in here to the pack. So we have two barns here on our farm that are consisting of layer hens. The layer hens are the type of hens that are just for laying eggs. Okay? They start laying eggs at 19 weeks old. And those birds are going to lay one egg a day for their life. And it's our job every morning to come in here and gather those eggs. This machine here will grab all the eggs, and these eggs are going to go into these rows here. These rows are going to slowly pack all the eggs, and it's going to put it into a tray. You see over here, those trays will go onto the conveyor belt where we can nicely stack them. Once all the eggs are gathered, we want to store them into our cooler room. Our cooler room is the most important spot on our farm because that's where we're going to store all the food product. We are certified by CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and it's very important to keep this cooler between 10 to 13 degrees because we want to make sure when you guys get those eggs in the stores that those eggs are fresh and they are at the supreme quality. So come and take a look. These pallets are totally full. They have 900 dozen eggs on that one pallet. These pallets are gathered by us and they're picked up twice a week. Every Monday and every Friday, we will have a driver come. He picks up these eggs and he brings them to a grading station. At the grading station, those eggs will get lightly washed, they'll get weighed, and then they will get distributed to you guys at the stores. They'll be at grocery stores, they'll go to restaurants, all different types of places across Manitoba. And a really cool fact is there's 170 egg farmers like myself across Manitoba, and all our eggs that you guys eat in Manitoba are only from Manitoba egg farmers, nowhere else in the world. And here's our mechanical room. So I like to call this the brains of our operation. So as you can see to here on your right-hand side, this is our water system. Our water system is very accurate. We want to make sure that those birds are given the best quality water so they can produce us good eggs and also keep them healthy. What happens is the water comes in and we meter it. So we know exactly how many liters that those birds are drinking a day. Do you want to guess how many liters a bird drinks a day? They drink 140 milliliters every single day. On our farm, we go through 7,000 liters of water every day to feed our birds. The water comes in, it gets filtered to make sure it's nice and clean, and then it goes off to the birds inside the barn. Over here, you can see our heating system. This is all for in-floor heat. We want to make sure these birds stay nice and warm, of course, in winter time. So there's special pipes in the floor to heat it so that the birds stay nice and warm and that they don't get too cold in winter time. Over here is our Maximus controller. So this is like our computer. The computer runs the whole entire operation. So as you can see here, it is just a touch screen like an iPad. You can see it gives me all these different options and different things that are running on our farm. You can see here it says chimney 1 in room 1, that fan is running. It is running at 76%. It is drawing 1 amp of electrical current, and it is open at 69%. This controller here controls everything. It takes into account what the temperature is outside, what's the temperature inside the barn, and what is the desired temperature that we would like to have. This machine then will let in X amount of air or heat the air by that amount to make sure that those birds are kept nice and warm and nice and safe. Also, this controller is going to adjust their lights. It's going to have a sunset mode and a sunrise mode so that in the morning it slowly brings the lights up just like a sunrise, what we're used to. And at nighttime, it's a sunset mode, slowly dims the lights so they can nicely go to sleep. This machine is also made to monitor. So what it will do is, depending on how much feed that the girls eat every single day, it will send me a report saying these birds ate this amount of feed. Because all of the feed, they're on big bins, they're all scaled, so we know exactly the amount of food that they are taking in every day. And this system is going to track all of that. So what another really cool feature is that this system here can be accessed on my phone, on my iPad, on my laptop, wherever I am in the world. I can monitor what's going wrong on my farm or what's going right. If something goes wrong, this thing will call us, it will send us a text and an email and give us an alarm saying something is wrong, we need to come fix it. We're going to go look inside of the barn right now. As we go there, I thought I'd share a few fun facts with you guys. So, did you know that white chickens lay white eggs and brown chickens lay brown eggs? What it actually has to do with is the color of their skin. The color of their skin shows by their earlobe. Depending on the color of that earlobe will tell me what type of shell color that hen is going to lay. But they are nutritionally the exact same because whatever we feed the birds, that's what they put into their eggs. Also, in our farm here, we only have female chickens. A male chicken, rooster, they don't lay any eggs. So it doesn't help us here on the farm. So all these chickens we're about to see, they are all female. We're about to go inside the barn, and again, we have to follow a couple more biosecurity measures. Every time I go into one of my barns, I change my shoes once again. We're about to go inside the barn. These are these birds' homes, so we want to be respectful of their home and make sure that we're not going to startle them by anything. That's why on our farm, we like to wear the color blue. We wear blue because they get used to that, and they know when we come in that that's a familiar color and a familiar person, so they don't get startled. So let's go inside. So as you can see, there's a lot of chickens here behind you. These birds are only 23 weeks old. They're pretty new. You can see they look really, really good. These birds in here, we have about 11,500 just in this barn. On my whole entire farm, we have about 25,000 hens. They all lay eggs for you guys. So, we're going to come a little closer here. As we enter where they are, you can see they nicely move for me. They're not going to be startled, but they get used to you, and that's why they're not going to freak out. So these birds here are in an aviary free-run system. In Manitoba, there's 4 different types of systems. There's a conventional system, an enriched system, free-run, and free-range. A conventional system is the older type of system that has the birds in enclosed measures, and that's where they stay for most of their life. They have fresh access to feed and water, and also they have manure removal so that they don't get dirty, they stay nice and clean. Then you have the enriched style system. The enriched style system is a bigger system than the conventional. They have perch space, they'll have drinkers and water and all that good stuff, same as feed. They even have scratch pads for them to scratch on and nest boxes for them to go lay their eggs in. That's also an enclosed counter, and that's a newer system that a lot of farmers are going to. The free-run system, which we are in now, allows the birds to be free and roam around inside the barn. As you can probably see behind me, there'll be birds flying up and down on top of the system. A couple of cool things about this system is you have these curtains here. These curtains are for their nesting box. Right now, the nests are closed, so the birds aren't allowed to go in there. But in the morning when they wake up, these nests open up and the birds go in there to lay their eggs. It allows us to gather them. You can see the birds are allowed to free roam on the floor. They love to scratch and they love to lie down and dust bathe. You'll see they like to fly back up because in the system is where their feed is. You can see this is the feed line here, and in here is going to be different feed for them to eat. On top here, we got their water. All they do is they peck the water, and you can see it's nice and wet. They have access to that all the time. What the birds really like to do is we call perch. So if you look up on top there, on this bar here, you'll see a couple of birds are sitting on there. They perch on there, and that's where they like to sleep. So at nighttime, we've trained all these birds to jump up onto the system off the floor and perch. So that in the morning when they wake up, they're close to the nest box, and that's when they go and lay their eggs. The other type of system that we have here in Manitoba is called free range. Free range means that the birds are allowed to go outside, of course, weather permitting. When it's cold outside, rainy, windy, they're not going to let those birds outside because we want to make sure that they stay safe and healthy and that they don't get harmed. The inside of those barns looks similar to this, but they'll have little doors on the outside to allow those birds to go outside. And then they have a green space area where they can peck in the grass, and then they come in at night. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. I hope you learned something, and eat eggs. Thank you so much.
All right, so I want to make a note You would think if you go to the grocery store and you buy free-range eggs, that means that the chickens are, out on fresh grass and they get nice outdoor space. But this is actually what your free-range eggs look like. They don't get to, wander around on the grass and eat bugs. They're still in an environment like this. Kind of misleading if you ask me. Okay. So we talked about how eggs got to the grocery store. They come from big farms like the one we just watched on YouTube. But how do chickens make eggs? Like we said before, hens will lay just about 1 egg per day. And the whole egg develops and grows in different stages inside the hen. And if the hen had a rooster with it, the egg could be fertilized, and that means it can become a baby chick. But if there's no rooster with the hen, the egg is not going to be fertilized, but the chicken will still lay eggs, but that egg would never turn into a baby chicken. Okay, let's watch another video. This video is about how the egg forms inside the chicken. So it's a little bit of a chicken anatomy.
From hen to table, how an egg is made. The journey of an egg starts when a yolk that contains the unfertilized ovum is released into the oviduct. If sperm is
So that is technically an egg in a chicken, and it's microscopic. Like, you can't even see it with your eyeball. So an egg starts out teeny, 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 tiny inside the chicken.
present, the egg will be fertilized. Remember, a hen doesn't need a rooster to lay eggs. Free-ranging on leafy greens and feeding a feed with marigold meal will give yolks a beautiful dark orange color. Feeds fortified with omega-3 fatty acids will make the yolks even healthier. As the yolk travels down the oviduct, it is covered by the vitelline membrane. Also added are the fibrous proteins, chalazi, and layers of albumin or egg white.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there. Now we're starting to look like the type of egg that we know. So right now, the egg has the yolk, and it has the egg white, and it has these fibers that kind of hold everything together inside the egg. But there is no eggshell yet. Let's keep watching.
As the egg continues, it spins, which twists the chalazi that forms strands on either end of the yolk, anchoring it in the egg white and in the center of the egg. Membranes cover the egg and protect it from bacteria. The eggshell is then deposited around the egg. It is made mostly of calcium carbonate. Calcium needs to be provided in adequate amounts in the hen's diet through commercial feed and supplemental calcium sources like oyster shell. Pigment is also added to the shell. Depending on the breed, the shell may be colored in shades of white, blue, green, or brown. Once complete, the egg passes through the vent of the chicken and into the nest. This incredibly intricate process takes roughly 1 day.
So if you guys noticed in that video, the shell of the egg is the last part to form inside the chicken. So up to that point, the egg is kind of like squishy, right? And then before it comes out of the chicken, the shell gets made around the outside of the egg. And then it's like a hard, solid egg, which then comes out of the rear end of the chicken. All right. So let's move on to why do we clip chickens' wings? This is something that we did here at the farm a couple weeks ago. Chickens' wings have feathers, right? We clip some of the feathers on chickens' wings so that they cannot fly anymore. Because our chickens were flying up and out of the fence, they were in danger of getting eaten by the fox. So in order to be safe, our chickens need to stay inside the fence. So we clipped our chickens' wings so they can't fly up on the fence and go outside and be in danger. We did it to keep them safe. So because our chickens can't fly out of the fence, they're going to be safer. Now I have a couple videos to share, and these are videos of me and Miss Colette in the chicken coop at our farm with our chickens.
Hey guys, we're here in the chicken coop with our lovely volunteer Miss Colette, and we are taking care of clipping our chickens' wings today. But I wanted to show you guys we have a chicken that is in the process of molting, which means she's growing new feathers. And it's a normal, healthy thing to do. Sometimes chickens do it every year, sometimes every other year. But when their feathers get kind of worn ragged and old, their bodies know that they need to grow a new set of feathers so they can have some pretty new shiny feathers. So that's what's happening here. She's all upset. I'm sorry, girl. That's what's happening here. If you look, they kind of look like the tips of ink pens, but those are actually new feathers that are growing out. And the feather fibers are going to come out of these little pegs here, and those are going to be the basis of her new feathers. So we're going to clip her wings, but we might have to check in on her in a few months once she gets her new wings all grown out. Thanks, miss.
So that video showed us a chicken who was molting her feathers, which means she's shedding her old feathers and growing in new ones. And then this video is going to show me and Colette actually trimming the feathers on a chicken to clip her wings.
So now this is our very last chicken. We've taken care of all the other ladies. She's the last one. And so you can see here, she has kind of two sets of feathers on one wing. From here over, those are called her primary feathers, and these really don't help to fly very much. These ones are the main flight feathers. Those are what really help the chicken jump up and fly a little bit. So when we clip a chicken's wings, we're going to take off most of these flight feathers, but we got to be careful because her bones and her flesh start up kind of where these little feathers start. So we're going to go from about here down on her flight feathers, and it doesn't hurt her. I know some people might be concerned, right? It doesn't hurt the chicken. It's kind of like going for a haircut. Same thing. It feels just like having your fingernails or your hair cut. So we're just going to go along that line, cut off those flight feathers. So now she looks a little bit goofy, but it doesn't hurt, and now she can't fly up over the gate. So we do this to keep them safe so they don't fly out and escape. And we'll do her other wing. So you can see her flight feathers are a little bit different color, which makes it even easier to tell. And we're going to cut off most of her flight feathers. And she's all ready to go and join the rest of the flock. Thank you, madam.
When we trim the feathers on the chicken, it does not hurt the chickens at all. They really don't mind. All it does is keep them from flying up and out of the fence. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you this week. I'll see you guys next week on All Things Farm, okay?